Petr Yan entered the Matrix once again on Saturday night, evolving and adapting over the course of 3 rounds to systematically pick apart Marcus McGhee. His ability to download information and implement a game plan is just something to behold. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 3 aspects of Petr Yan's game that makes him so effective, that allowed him to enter the Matrix once again on Saturday night. Hello guys and welcome back to Alex on MMA. Hope you're all doing well. I know this video is a little bit late, but I have been on vacation with my family up in Scotland, but I did not want to miss an opportunity to talk about Petr Yan and this performance in particular. Now, we all know that Marcus McGhee was going to be a threat heading into this one. He's very aggressive, and against a slow starter like Petr Yan, it could potentially be a bit of a tricky matchup. But the way in which Petr Yan was able to completely nullify the threats offered by Marcus McGhee and end up in a very dominant position, cruising to victory in the end, just tells me how good Petr Yan is. And I think I have to say he probably is my favourite fighter in the UFC right now. Just his ability to mix up offense, his takedown defense actually stood up in this fight as well. So it gives me hope that hopefully we see the rematch against Merab, and it's a very different style of fight. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the fight clips themselves. And the first thing that I want to take a look at is how Petr Yan was able to nullify the naturally more aggressive fighter in Marcus McGhee, and how technical, how cute he was about doing it. And what makes this performance even more impressive is the fact that Marcus McGhee's game plan in the opening round was actually pretty solid. He was landing his left hand with regularity, and being a more aggressive fighter, we know that Petr Yan starts slow. And it's not that difficult to take the first round off him because his activity is fairly limited. If you can land more shots, do a little bit more damage, you'll probably steal the round. However, Petr Yan recognises this, and he knows that he has to adapt to the game plan of his opponent. And one of the best ways to interrupt the rhythm of an opponent and stop an aggressive fighter in their tracks is the inside low kick. It completely off balances fighters, and if they're really cruising forward heavy-handed, it completely knocks them off their rhythm. And as you can see here, we're 1 minute 40 into the first round, and Petr Yan recognises this already and lands a hard inside low kick. No setup really. And he comes over the top because he's always thinking one step ahead. This is another reason why I say that he enters the Matrix, because he's not just throwing single shots, albeit this really looks like a single shot. This inside low kick, he follows it up with a right hook, but Marcus McGhee closes the distance fairly well here to avoid taking the brunt of that right hook, and he kind of gets clubbed around the back of the head with a forearm. But as you can see here, this is Petr Yan's first stamp on the fight. He wants to really disrupt the rhythm of Marcus McGhee, a marauding, aggressive fighter, someone who really wants to steal that first round by landing big punches. The inside low kick is a brilliant way to disrupt this. However, it doesn't stop there. Petr Yan just failed on a right hook, which is really important to note. So he's downloaded that information. Okay, when I throw that inside low kick, Marcus McGhee closes the distance. A long right hook isn't going to cut it. So let's move on to an adaptation. Not even 40 seconds later, you can see there's still 3 minutes remaining in the round. Petr Yan again, he starts to back up Marcus McGhee, fakes a jab, and again throws. Marcus McGhee attempts a nice elbow there, but Petr Yan lands a nice inside low kick. Previously, he threw that right hook, which you can see he still uses his shoulder there, mainly to protect from a left hand of Marcus McGhee, which he had been landing. And now he loads up on that left hook because McGhee's there and catches him beautifully on the chin. So he's recognised that McGhee's going to close the distance to that side. So instead of throwing the left hook, which is going to go behind the back of his head, he goes for a shorter left hook and it lands on the button. This kind of adaptation, not only 40 seconds after Petr Yan had just gone for one punch and that had failed, he's adapted, realises where Marcus McGhee ends up after he throws an inside low kick and then lands a beautiful left hook. Honestly, the inside low kick is one of my favourite techniques, as you can probably tell. Whether you like to use it in sparring or you just enjoy watching MMA, seeing it utilised in the perfect way against a come forward fighter, completely disrupting their rhythm, ruining their balance so that you can counter them, it's just so effective, it's so good to watch. And an example of this, just 10 seconds before that clip that I just showed you, is right here. So Marcus McGhee here, he goes for an inside low kick of his own. But Petr Yan sees it. He sees this coming. And with 1 foot on the ground, Marcus McGhee has no base whatsoever underneath him. And it takes him clean off his feet. And you can actually see this clip happened before the left hook that actually landed. But as you can see here, there's Petr Yan already looking for that left hand. So it's something that he recognised would be there, but just in this instance, he was able to take Marcus McGhee off his feet. Now, by the end of the first round, Marcus McGhee had cottoned on to the inside low kick, and he was countering it nicely. The commentary team picked up on a few good left hands that he landed, which is always going to be a great weapon for a southpaw fighter to use. However, the reason why I say Petr Yan enters the matrix is because he adapts on the adaptations of the opponent. He's playing chess while some of these guys are playing checkers. It's just so good to see. So the next technique that I want us to take a look at is how he evolved by the end of round 1 and mainly into round 2, and that's by using the clinch. So whilst that inside low kick may have no longer been an option, you still have to be very wary about nullifying the power of Marcus McGhee. Look at the guy, he's an absolute tank. So Petr Yan here decides to use the clinch. Instead of trying to disrupt his balance, as you can see here, Petr Yan slips really well on the outside, and we'll keep it playing forward. And this grip is absolutely essential round the back of Marcus McGhee's shoulders. This is genius. I actually did a video with Yotin FA Group, who's a Muay Thai fighter out of Thailand, who specialises in the clinch. And this is a technique that he uses. So you can see that Petr Yan's head is completely out of danger here. You know, you're either not in danger when you're far out of range, or when you're in range so close as this, you're no longer in striking danger. So I'll keep it playing forward. So Petr Yan, he gets that clinch position where he's in no danger whatsoever against a powerful puncher like Marcus McGhee. Keep it playing forward. And then this is really important. He needs to then outwork Marcus McGhee in that clinch position. And there's a short uppercut there. I can just see his glove. You can't really see it from this angle. But Marcus McGhee's hair seems to tell a story. That punch may have landed. And then another short uppercut through the middle there. Keep it playing. And then a beautiful right hook in the space of 2 seconds. Okay, that right hook just clipped him around the back of the ear. Still an effective shot. And then a left hook. Think about this. We're doing it frame by frame. How quick these combinations are going in. Absolutely essential that you don't get lazy in the clinch. Petr Yan knew that he had to seize his opportunity when that clinch broke, and he couldn't let Marcus McGhee be the first guy to get his shots off. Another really important point about what we've seen in both the inside low kick and the clinch is that Petr Yan was refusing to let himself be pushed backwards in this fight. The clinch means that he has to meet Marcus McGhee in the middle. When McGhee moves forward, he has to meet him there, wrap themselves up. And this gives me some hope for that rematch against Merab. Because one of the things that really cost Petr Yan in that fight, and cost him big time, look, he was humiliated in that fight. And it really hurts me to say that as a big fan of Petr Yan, is that he was forced backwards far too often. Now, I know that Merab's an absolute cardio machine, and he forces everyone backwards. He puts the forward pressure on, spams the takedowns, and forces fighters on their back foot. But the takedown defense from Petr Yan, as we're about to see, was really impressive in this fight, and he just refused to allow himself to be pushed backwards. When McGhee moved forward, he disrupted him with inside low kicks and fast hands, and then when McGhee really stormed forward and was countering the inside low kick, he was clinching up and doing the better work in the clinch and on the break. So as you can see here, the clip we're looking at shows Marcus McGhee fairly deep on Petr Yan's hips, and I do get that McGhee isn't the wrestler that Merab is. I'm not trying to make direct comparisons, but the hips were really heavy by Petr Yan. Good takedown defense, maintaining some distance away from Marcus McGhee so he couldn't get under Petr Yan's hips. Let's keep it playing forward. And now we see ourselves in a clinch position again. Petr Yan actually has some wrist control, glove control on that side, stopping the shots from Marcus McGhee. And he's got an underhook on this side. And they enter the clinch again. So Petr Yan, he's got his clinch mindset on now. He knows that he needs to outwork Marcus McGhee. Now, it seems that Marcus McGhee's just trying to shuck Petr Yan off him, get out of this position, because it just wasn't serving him. Petr Yan was landing a lot more shots. Unhelpfully, the referee's blocking this shot, but you can see a left hand by Petr Yan coming over the top on the break. Let's keep it playing. And then a lovely, look at that shot, wow. And then a lovely uppercut. Huge impact on Marcus McGhee. Absolutely huge. I believe this shot did stun him. Let's keep it playing. Yeah, he definitely felt that one. Really effective. And look, I'm not saying that this is the answer to Merab, but McGhee was deep on that takedown there. Petr Yan refused to be forced backwards, got McGhee in a clinch, and then his fast hands just outworking Marcus McGhee. Absolute genius. So I really hope that you guys are as appreciative of Petr Yan's performance as I was. We're about to take a look at the third round, and that was where Petr Yan had a lot of control time against the fence. A few boos started coming here and there, but I guess Petr Yan just didn't didn't want to take any unnecessary risk. It's a bit different if you're down on the scorecards in a championship fight or something like that. But as it stood, Petr Yan was cruising to victory. He was fighting the number 12 ranked guy, so there was no reason to take any risks against a heavy hitter like Marcus McGhee. I totally understand the game plan here. But let's not underestimate his control. You might think that referee intervention needs to happen a bit more for the break. He did get warned a couple of times about not advancing position, but the control was immense, and he did try and get the takedowns, as we're about to see here. Now, I do appreciate that one of the reasons you're probably watching this video is because you do appreciate a nice Petr Yan trip. The video is called Petr Yan entering the Matrix, I guess, so I'm not going to disappoint you here. As you can see, Petr Yan has very nice control against the fence. He's got a double underhook here. Really strong position. Marcus McGhee, he got warned for fence grabbing. There was just nothing he could do here. Petr Yan's control was really strong. Marcus McGhee was warned about his fingers in the fence here, but there was nothing that Marcus McGhee could do, clearly, because he couldn't get out of this body lock position. Look, better grapplers than McGhee would be able to get out of this position, but where Petr Yan had the control, the double underhooks, Marcus McGhee was terrified about being taken down. But of course, Petr Yan was just a level above. So as you can see here, he switches his hips. Let's play it forward. Outstretching this leg, which is acting as a bar to trip up Marcus McGhee. Planting this knee on the ground. Let's keep it going. And then he uses that torque in his hips. Oh, don't know what happened there. He uses the torque in his hips to rotate this way. Rotate his trunk this way. And Marcus McGhee goes for a ride. In fairness to Marcus McGhee, he didn't get held down in this position. He was able to get himself back up very quickly. But look, that's just Petr Yan doing Petr Yan things. He's renowned for these trips, and we are going to take a look at one more. But really here, I'm emphasizing the control aspect of Petr Yan's game more than anything else. He had the rounds in the bank. He was clearly winning this third round, so he just decided not to take the risk, control Marcus McGhee, and take him down when he could. And now I am going to rename this trip the Petr Yan trip. I know there'll be a Japanese name out there that's probably going to get brought up in the comment section, but against Sean O'Malley, against Deiveson Figueiredo, now against Marcus McGhee, I'm probably missing one there. Petr Yan goes for his signature trip. And now, there is a bit of a risk to this because you're completely exposing your back. You can't see where the punches are coming from. Marcus McGhee looks as though he's loading up a right hand there. But as you can see, Petr Yan, he needs to turn his back almost completely to Marcus McGhee in order to get his right leg deep underneath McGhee's hamstring. And then this right hand is applying the force this way. Petr Yan's right leg forcing the pressure that way, which completely sends Marcus McGhee absolutely flying. Let's keep it playing forward. It's just a beautiful trip. I can watch this over and over again, sending McGhee to the canvas. And Petr Yan ends up in side control straight from that position, or north-south. Amazing trip, just showing the technicality, the levels that Petr Yan is operating at, the fact that he's striking so good, his counter-boxing, his adaptability, then he's got a bit of flair about him as well. All these things make such an entertaining fighter. And although that third round, yes, it had its moments of just control time up against the fence, if you're prepared to fight and prepared to go for it against Petr Yan, he will expose you with the trips as well. This is a fighter operating on another level to so many fighters in the UFC, and I still don't think he gets his plaudits. I do understand that there were disappointing performances against Aljamain Sterling in the rematch, and against the current champion Merab Dvalishvili. I really want to see him run that fight back. Look, the result might be the same, but I'm sure that Petr Yan will give a much better account of himself than he did the first time, because you could see in the performance against Song Yadong afterwards that Petr Yan's confidence still wasn't quite there. But in the last two performances against Deiveson Figueiredo and against Marcus McGhee, albeit lower ranked guys, Petr Yan has found his confidence again. He's really going through the gears in these fights, fighting the fights that he wants to fight, which is really important as well. He's not getting bullied, which gives him a lot more license to be creative with the trips and stuff like that. But his ability to adapt throughout a fight is almost like something I've never seen before. Marcus McGhee, he adapted to the inside low kicks in that first round, so Petr Yan decided to go for the clinch, and he had the faster hands there, the more accurate punches. And then in that third round, when he was cruising to a victory, the ability to control Marcus McGhee against the fence and take him down at will. This guy's a special fighter, and he is my favourite fighter in the UFC right now. So guys, I hope I did this performance justice and explained how Petr Yan did enter the Matrix once again on Saturday night. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. Comment below what you thought about his performance on Saturday, and I'll see you guys in the next video.